Okay, so there's 72 hotkeys available in MetaTrader, and some of them are already taken, I suppose, as far as MetaTrader's already got default hotkeys. This is a demo account right out of the box, so there's nothing fancy. I'm actually using the MACD that came with it here. So it looks like this when you get the program, and I just zoomed in to just kind of have a blow-by-blow presentation. And of course, this is the, looking way back, and I guess we're missing data here. I don't know. But, so, how do you set these hotkeys up? And so a guy asked me, well, which one's the buy key and which one's the sell key? Well, that is definitely a problem. You want to decide that up front. I chose control. Like if you're running a keyboard, my keyboard's not coming up. This when you program a hotkey, like on here, control right now, control, and then hit, while you're holding down the control key, you hit the N key, and that's going to make the navigator come and go. And if you want to see the terminal, it's control T. So the typical hotkeys are there, and if you want to see, I think it's D, is the data window. So this is already programmed in. Now I think you can change this control D to a different, you can override it with a custom hotkey. And if you, so I sent this guy a script of a market order, just buy at the market. Unless you can really talk to somebody, he didn't have Skype, so unless you could talk to somebody and kind of ask them, well, how tight a stop do you want? You can't really design the script to fit the situation. Now, if you have a tablet, you probably don't want to hold down this key and go here to make things happen. It's going to be too many steps, right? It's like you got to plug your guitar, and every time you want to play a note, you got to stop, unplug your guitar, plug it back in. So who wants to do that, especially if you know where you want to go, what you want to have happen, and if you see an opportunity, you want to be able to lay in multiple orders and walk away. Or do you want to, I guess if you're manually trading, you still want to, I guess you can bring up a new order here. So when you mouse over this, you see how it says new order, F9 key. So on the keyboard here, I don't see any function keys on this keyboard, but they don't have, I think new order might be control N. No, that's navigator. I don't know. But I don't use that. I guess you could just, the problem with this key is this naked trading. You never want to hit this key. In fact, if you have a micro account, you want to take this down to 0 if possible, in case you accidentally, I just have it there for a quote, but honestly, you can destroy an account just by accidentally tagging this and not, inadvertently, say your cat jumps on the keyboard and just gets in at the market here. I think I actually set that to 0. But then you want to close the whole platform and reopen it to lock that in. Because if you crash right now, I don't think it's going to save that 0. So a lot of things to consider. It's like driving a car, once you go past 100 miles an hour, you probably are, 140 kilometers. You want to put on that, make sure that your tires are kind of newish. kind of maybe they run flat tires just in case, right? So this hotkey system on the script I sent, this guy was just a buy at the market thing, and right here the only thing inside the and hell what the fuck are pipes, right? I mean, no mention of no scripts. They took all the scripts out, so it's kind of funny. Latest version of this thing. I mean, we're at version, so they definitely streamlined this. Hell, let me see. Come up for about, oh jeez, it's underneath the let me think. So yeah, we're at version 950. Not even a date. Oh, 2015. Who knows? Good Lord. Still got the relic stuff. They're stripping everything down. Everything's getting worse. Anyways, right mouse click here, and it says set hotkeys. So he said, well, which key is the buy key, which key is the sell key? Well, it's definitely a problem here because let me just make RSI the script. Like it's going to run this indicator every time I hit control. So here's the fork in the road. Do you want your indicators to be on alt and your scripts to be on control? Now this is a big problem because if you're going to lay the foundation of your, I guess, stuff that you don't have to write down and have a checklist, you just have it hardwired in your head. Well, for me, control is buy and alt is sell. I just decided that, for instance, control 1, and you're only available to put 1 through 0 here, 1 all the way to 9, 0. On the alt key, you can do the same thing. So now you've got, right, 20. Then you've got the alphabet twice. Alt alphabet and control alphabet. There you go. 72, right? 56? I don't know. So, you know, there you go. There's your limitation. Now, I think you can override the control N. So let me put control N here to see if it's even possible. I'm usually not, I usually only have about 20 scripts running, 20. So I'm using just the numbers right now. Once I went down the letter road, let me just tell you, I felt like I had to use all 26 letters. I felt like I had to do that. And that was a problem because if you're going to just stay in the 20 world, there's less chance for over-designing, right? You build the building too high, right? Without a good foundation could be a problem. So you could get lost in that too. You get lost in a lot of minutia when you're trying to design something, or even do a painting, right? I mean, people that are painting, they have to find out, well, do I start with a background or do I just start doodling and just let it happen, right? Well, same thing here. I mean, if you're going to be a person that's strict, and I made control 1 was buy at the market. Control 2 is, for me, is buy in limits. Now, it's a matter of taste. Do you want to buy 15 pips deep or 50 pips deep? Then control 3 is, okay, now I got to think about maybe deeper orders on that key, but when I get to 4, they're not deeper orders, they just last longer. So it's a progressive. In other words, if control 1 is buy at the market and alt 1 is sell at the market, just for me psychologically, I'm not saying that you have to build it like this, but it's just an example of trying to come up with a system where it's like a tree. It branches off naturally. There's not like this step where, oh yeah, by the way, after everything I've said to you, we're gonna kill you in the morning. So, I mean, you don't want to be led. You don't want to lead yourself down those roads where, you know, it's easy, I guess. Well, some people are going to say, no, control all my buys and sells. In other words, say you're going to be a volatility trader. Well, control to you means low volatility and alt means high volatility. So maybe all the limits are on the alt key and all the controls are on the stops, right? Now, everybody's going to reach a fork in the road where they just have, some people are just going to decide and just go with what they decided, right? But this is like getting a tattoo. This is the whole problem with getting a tattoo is, what if the next day you're like, you know what, Gartley, I put a Gartley pattern on my leg and now I'm losing money. Like, now what do I do? So, you know, it could be really kind of annoying or just against your nature, and it's going to be a lot of energy spent being pissed off. So I guess you have to figure control 1 is certainly not taken by MetaTrader anywhere, and like I think there's probably, I don't know what, so there's a list out there, maybe there's 20 keys. You can do a hotkey search for MT4, and so I'm going to make this control N to just see if I can override the what's on the system right now. Oh boy, it always makes that bell sound. Now hit close and so hopefully Control N. Oh, wiped out my trusty keyboard. Gotta love Windows 8. I mean, this keyboard on, I'm telling you what, this is just too good. I mean, if you have this on, or you can just double click the script too. I mean, that's, if you're on a tablet, you don't need hotkeys. You can just double click the script. I hate to ruin it for you after talking about hotkeys and tell you that you don't need them, because you could just, like if you're on this period converter, you just double click that and it's going to launch on the chart. Unless you have the, you have to actually be able to open your scripts and see inside. They can't be sealed by, you know, this garbage here. Some of this stuff you can't edit. And so you want to be able to get in there and take off the confirmation statements at the top of in the code, because otherwise, if you double click on that, it's going to give you that stupid, "Are you sure you want to do that?" You know, and you just want to do it, right? I mean, if you can see an opportunity, you could just be like, "Okay, click, click, you know, click, click." Just keep stacking up that one script or a couple scripts on that one thing. And so here's the thing. So we're going to hit Control N and see if we can bring up the is it RSI? I put on here. Okay, see, now it's going to ask me for confirmation. So there's a way to delete that off the thing. So let me do that again. It's like hidden underneath. The keyboard actually takes precedent over the whole system here. Uh-oh, screwed that up. So Control N. There you go. And okay, so we'll put the RSA in there. You can strip off the, I don't know if you can do it on, well, this is the hard coded version of this indicator, so it might be in there whether you like it or not. I don't think you can modify that. Let's see, here's a set the hotkey, and you just have to choose what's going to be what. Now, you can reset all. If you decide that you've done dumb things in here, you can reset all, or you can just reset this one. So, but you don't have a choice. It's either Alt or Control, and it's either 1 through 0, or it's going to be A through Z. And so you can override all the hotkeys in MetaTrader if you want, and then you just have to realize that you're going to have to double click on things now or go to here to navigate, because you've closed off all of these. If you're used to doing new order is F9, these are hotkeys too. But see, the hotkey custom will not let you write those kind of, because they just give you Alt and Control as your choice, where this gives you the F9. Now you can have a hotkey keyboard, which I have a macro that will actually, it has the F, that key, so those keys still work in a keyboard. I mean, I don't see them on this online keyboard, but so but that's another row of keys to deal with. But that's what the hotkey keyboard's about, is having a bunch of rows. Then you label it like, you could have an idea was to, I guess, have a nice clear picture of a bar on the key, like what that, you could actually have a, you know, you could have a Gartley button, right? You could have something that places orders like all the way to China, you know, like there's no, like 1,000 pips deep, right? I mean, this is Gartley trading is, well, we'll just throw an order away, you know, it will probably never get filled. So I'd say pepper them 25 pips apart all the way to Memphis. Then, right here, have a hotkey for that. And you could just write Memphis on the key, or M. But I had M, when I originally started, I had the left key was always the impulsive trade. I guess like my pinky, you know, that's your leading edge if you're playing an instrument, like a stringed instrument. If your pinky's not strong, you're kind of like, oh well. Next guy. It's because you got to be able to like pinky push-ups to play up on the high to play so that you can spread your hand out, and so that's the reason I chose the Control 1. And then and when you program a keyboard, a macro, you literally got to hit this key, hit the 1, then come back and hit Control to back out. If you're gonna, once you get into if you use a Cherry keyboard, which is the cheapest thing in the world, you can get them for like $30 on eBay. $30 on eBay, they're built like a tank. I mean, it's like a weapon. They weigh like 10 pounds. But that's what I would do. A G86 Cherry. And this way, if you're at a desktop situation, if you're on a tablet, forget the whole idea of hotkeys. Forget it. Every script is launched in the common area. Like when you're inside of the commons on this navigator, anything in here, you double click it, it's going to say, oh, you want me to do that? Anything in here. Double click the alligator. It's the alligator shit. That was crack me up. This Bill Williams guy. Well, you know, it works if you work it. It's like AA, right? You just got to have all this stuff works. You just need a risk management system. You know, that's the boring stuff of life. You know, insurance salesman comes to your house. You know, that's what we're going to talk about, insurance. First, I have to scare the shit out of you. I don't know, I guess that's what they say. Hey, you're willing to buy anything after that. But even this lagging thing here, it's about, well, what style of order do you start placing after MACD goes about the signal line? So it does work. It's just that it could be annoying to be in these trades. Like, say you just bought the MAC, this is out of the box crap, right? But you're going to build a system off this. Now, if you trade at the market, I think you really have to say, I'm just going to risk. I'm buying every 4 hours. I'm just buying every 4 hours. I don't care what's going on. I've got a super wide stop. I'm a swing trader. I don't care. So yeah, I guess I just went beyond the topic of hotkeys, but I guess what's the point of a hotkey if it's not to try to get in something? So the next step logically is, okay, well, what do you do with that? For instance, here MACD crosses over, so the next histogram past that, you go long. Huh? You know? So how did it work back here? You went long. Now, people will say, look at this smash down, though. Well, that's if you... Now, if you also, at the same time it was going up, you had sell stops. Pure stop entry systems, though. Pure stop entry. Not a hedge. So, you put that on one broker, and you run it. I'm going to tell you, make money. As long as it takes the other side. Right? Because you're going to... You didn't make too much money here on this run here. I think it's safe to say that you pretty much didn't really... Say you got filled here. So you have a buy stop here. You got filled here. It kind of trapped you. And you didn't make very much. But at the same time this is marching up, you're putting in sell stops every time you get a higher MACD. And then finally, even the MACD gets filled. If you can imagine all your stops, and then whoosh, right? You just go with it. I mean, sure, people are thinking that this was the trap. Bottoms become tops. This is the Wyckoff. This is the throwback in Wyckoff. In any theory, right? You can say 3 drives. It doesn't matter. It's about how quiet do we get before we go to the next level. You know? And then, is this a breakout? It's a breakout of how many hours? $1 Swiss. It's like trading corn. And if you ever traded corn, that's what $1 Swiss is like. Very boring. In fact, this just reminds me of Investors Business Daily charts. Good old bar charts. Look at buy stop. You're filled. Then you finally get the crossover here. The confirmation wave. Everybody's now. Imagine these are your buy stops getting filled. It keeps on filling. And not really that's why you have to have scalps built in. Because if they fill you here and then they chop you out, right? But you got sell stops running counter. You're still long. And if you just keep pressing the button every 4 hours, you're naturally going to choke up on the market. If you'd written something this type. Then they start to fill you. Then they've kind of trapped you here. But if you stay with your sell stops, now you're making it all back. Here's an entry. Sideways at the last known here. That's stupid. That's a sell. Wow. Triangle dies into the last known pivot. It goes way back here. Here's the problem though. Did you just get trapped here on this buy stop? But this is why buy limits need to be running also, because, and I'd say that you might do that on another account, but that might be asking too much. If this is a pure stop entry account, so you get filled, boom. Here you're getting kind of trapped, but if you stuck with the buy stops, you're long from back here on something maybe. There's your ratio. Here it's just a matter of like we drift up in, just cannot get the party started past here. And volatility's drying up, which means volume's drying up. You don't need a volume gauge to see that. When the market's not moving, like some guy said to me one day, well, look at the volume. This is why we sold here. I'm like, wouldn't you just sell there because it's like literally up here? You need to know there was volume here. Oh, gee, I wonder if there was any volume on this move. This big bar here. Here, I wonder if any volume was filled there. Now, that was the example of a buy limit fill. It's just a retracement bounce. And then you got the so you're coming in on top with a volatility, a stop entry strategy is running. And ultimately you have buy limits to buy here, to buy here, to buy here. And this is like a swing trading account. You know, the big, in other words, the orders that last longer. Say you have a pending buy limit that lasts all the way until here, and then he dies. And now you launch the same strategy, but now the buy limits are here. So this one made money. Because you didn't, say you had a buy limit here. If it lasts too long, it's going to fill here. Like if you have a cluster here, you're going to overfill on that. So as the market's going and doing this stuff, if it really takes off, this is in a perfect world, where literally it's, you know, you're looking for so you're running the sell stop behind it, but not on these giant bars, right? But as soon as you get the next bar like this, okay, lock that in. And if you had put a buy stop here, and it was small enough before it left the station where you could get a board, ride it to there, cash out by the pullback. So it's always going to be, I mean, as soon as you're long, you're looking like, okay, where do I get out? Like, and if you're in, the problem is if you're inside of a mini account, you're only allowed to trade at 10K as your smallest. You never want to trade at 20K at the same price. That's stupid. I mean, if anything, if you don't want to press another button, want to double click a script that it's going to buy at the market, it's going to buy 10, and then it's going to put a limit minus 5 pips below the current price. You're going to buy another 10. Or maybe it's going to be, if you're trading the guppy, you're going to want to buy one at the market and one about 20 pips deep. Because if you think it's going up, just because you bought it, this could be a problem. Because, buying at the market. Now, if you bought on the clock, I could see it, right? Every hour, this thing, every 4 hours, this thing goes up, you sell it. Sell. As long as you don't press the button 20 times at the top of each hour. So why duplicate your mistakes? There's no way in hell you're going to get it in these markets. It's like jump rope. You can, when you're doing jump rope, the nice thing about that is that people typically get the rope going at an even pace. The problem is the market has no even pace to it. So it's jump rope without any symmetry. So at what point do you get into the ebb and the flow of these things? I think you let the market do that for you. So put a buy limit 10 pips deep. Why even get at the market? Now, the way to really do it is to let the market come to you. You set the parameters. You set the risk. If you're going to buy and sell at the market, and this is just for people that do that, which there's nothing wrong with doing that for your ego, but really you want to get a really small account to do stuff like that, because in the end, all the good trades are, well, from a swing trading standpoint or retracement standpoint, are away from where we're at right now. They're either above or below us. Where we're living right now, when the market opens tomorrow night, or tomorrow night. When the market opens tomorrow night, it's going to be, okay, do you lock in a hedge right on the open? That would make sense, right? Buy and sell at the market right in the open. If you want to participate. Not either that or you sit on the sidelines with limits pending. If you put a stop on the open, you're going to get screwed, because those only work when the spreads are tight. The problem with running stop entry is when the spreads suck. Even buy and sell at the market, if you're locking into a loss. So it's always better to trade on limits. The only problem there is lack of participation until the market comes into your trap. So that, to me, or to anybody, could be psychologically disappointing from a participation standpoint. But you'll see, if you've got orders out there that last 8 hours, you'd be surprised that the market will come down and actually go beyond where you think it could go. And so just before the when the market perks up or something just goes sideways too long, there's definitely going to be the breakout thing. So if you are going to trade at the market, I'd say I guess you could do it by where the market's currently standing, but usually you're thinking about scaling in and out, or you're just scalping it. I just got in for 40 seconds or 40 minutes. And if they don't stop me out of this, it's just mind-boggling that you could get in there with a standard lot. And I guess this is for people that just trade. They pull the trigger and walk away. I just would not put on any size of trade, any trade. Why would it matter? Whether you're losing $1 or $1 million, you're still losing. And bad enough that when you pull the trigger, an instant loss. You're either paying the spread or you're paying a small spread in commissions, which, you're just fooling yourself, right? So you just really I need to build something that you don't feel like if you have too much horsepower in your car. I don't know if anybody's driven a car with say a turbo or something, and you're not prepared for the lagging horsepower that comes your way. That's what it can be like to be trading and make a bunch of money, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I guess there is horsepower in both directions in the market. So that can be a little bit disturbing. But there's plenty of leverage, and there's plenty of you have to try too hard. Of course, on these big spikes like this thing up here, this is a problem from a standpoint of course, look at the break out of that. I don't know which way it went first, but that was the cause for the effect. In other words, too much sideways, and of course, everybody had this in mind, like, what's going to happen if we break that out? Are we going to continue? No, it's just a trap. And then this is the floor. So right now, you're running buy stops, right? Or you have sell stops because you have a small bar. There's nothing else you can do. Trading's really boring. Even on this system would work if you had at least a small checklist that when this histogram got above 0, you started to aggressively apply stops. But that would be one more filter that you couldn't tell. You couldn't really, I don't know if there's an EA out there that's got a rule list that would actually be able to say all these things. Well, I don't see RSI. He's not making it. Here, oversold RSI. That was the early bird gets the worm. That's not a bad trade. RSI's finally here. RSI buys. But, trading at the market, wow, that's tough. That's tough sledding. I'd be on that 5-minute chart thinking maybe I should wait for a 5-pip pullback. 5 pips. It all adds up. You'd be surprised. 5, 10, 15, 20, 40. You got an order bank like this with a big fat master stop. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to let that fill up. Maybe it doesn't fill the whole order bank and it comes back up. Sell stops here. Super tight. There's scalps built in. I mean, you're out of like 40% of your position by here. Let the rest go. Look at that thing. Just look at the obliteration of that. Look at that. Sell stops are stacking up on this thing. Uh-oh. I accidentally over-clicked it. Oh, at least it zooms in nice. Okay, let's take a look at this. You're buying here, and you got sell stops stacking up on this. It's all about being a contrarian, I guess. That's the way I'm seeing it. Like your buy stops are stacking up here, and then, okay, you're making some money. Then you're a seller, then you're a buyer. Sell stops are stacking up. I think the problem people have with it is they're like, okay, like what about this? Well, I would be putting brackets in there. Buy stops, sell stops. Now that's premium, easy entry. Sideways in RSI, histograms going up here. What's the first up histogram here? Buy. Right? Early birds, buy. Or start putting buy stops in and buying at the market. So every 4 hours you buy a little bit. Plus you got your stop entry fills and your limits. But if you're continually buying one at the market, one on a stop, one on a limit. One at the market, one on a stop, one on a limit. 3. One button, one script. Now, when the market heats up, it may be like limits here, limits there, sell limit, buy limit. You just got to go with the current volatility. I can't believe how far that thing can zoom in. I accidentally clicked that like 80 times. Jeez. Yeah. Well, let's see if I can zoom in here. Got a standard. But yeah, it's about these kind of things. Now, if this is say, where's the first down tick here? Your first sell stop. You punch a button here and definitely rolled over. So here you've got sell stops running. You know, these are the diminishing. Plus you're at the doji. It's pretty stupid. And everybody's bullish. When this crosses the zero line, people are like, oh, look at it, I got confirmation. I'm like, holy crap, who didn't buy back here? Right, just on buy stops, stacking up. Look at this perfect grid. Perfect 45 degree. That's dumb. It's like tic-tac-toe. It's like Hollywood Squares. Stupid. And then here, there's the argument for a scalp built in because we never made it to that price till like the next day. Look at that. Gosh. There's a trap for your... But see, you don't even think about... you're in sell mode once you pass the zero line. It's contrarian trading. In fact, this whole time this is marching up, you're like, okay. Because what if it swings down? You want to get filled on that gust of wind. So as soon as this thing is above zero, you're thinking about, uh-oh. Let's get ready to sell this puppy. Hey, you're stalking it to the sell side. Everybody's all bullish. Can only imagine what the ridiculous news is about it. And as soon as this thing crosses below, now you're thinking about buying it. Right? You got buy stops. Ooh, they trap them. So now, it's too late to sell unless it goes sideways. Then you run your volatility strategies on these baby candles. Here they trapped you. But I'm in buy mode now. I'm thinking, wow. Of course, here's an undeniable volatility play. If you're within the pip range, here's your buy stop entry. Kind of risky. Better to wait for the dead things to just trade breakouts, make money there. This other stuff's about trend analysis, which is 20% trends. So that should tell you right there, 20% of your trades should be trend orientated. 20% of the entry, because here, buy stop and sell stops, you're only filled on the long side. Here you scalp something. Definitely scalps built into these breakouts, because if you're getting in on a candle this big, you got to have a profit expansion of like, here's their bar here. What's the next bar length? If it's this, it's like a funnel. So as it starts to expand, you got to step back, and now you're thinking limits down here. As soon as the market goes nuts like this, now your limits come in like this, because you're expecting an expansion of the it's just going to get more heated. And this is very quiet here. This is a very long count before a very big storm. And this is quite the smash. Right back to here. And beyond. But you have to be aware of that trap back here. At least for that move. In that auction theory, these stretched out auctions don't work because you're inside of a different fractal structure. The auction inside of these 4-hour bars is your entry. So you're doing auction entry in an uptrend. If you think this is an uptrend, in other words, as soon as the histogram turns over, if you define trend by MACD, okay, we're uptrend, here it gets iffy. As soon as the histogram goes above zero, you're like, uh-oh, maybe I should just go flat. But so if you consider this to be the uptrend, then the auction is these little trimmings here. where they come down and they go unfair value within a trend. So all pullbacks, if they're really good, they should take out the too tight a stop that people have, and then there's your scalp built into a buy and hold. So you scalp the first burst, because what if you're wrong? You want to make something on this breakout, because if they start slamming you, you have to continually make money off of the little things that, the small items in the store. That might pay the phone bill, right? That might pay your internet connection. And then when the big kahuna trade comes, the painfully obvious wedge, kabloom. It's that stupid. Buy stop, sell stop. So this is the back testing. Do ranges go from quiet to loud? Okay, back test is done. All the back testing you're ever going to need in your life right here. It's not about chart time. It's about dealing with the fact of this indecision. And there's people that think it's going up, and people think it's going down. It's the fork in the road. So what's going to happen when we go sideways? You don't care. Buy stop. Buy limits. Go next currency. Just keep laying those all day long. But I'm not going to put a sell limit here for a trend continuation. Like, we're going to come up here, then we're going to go down here. And it's like, well, why don't you just ride it to here? Then ride it down. Why are you waiting for the outside return? I never understood that. Like, well, I'm waiting for the fourth quarter to actually show you how good I am at football. Yeah. Well, the first 3 quarters, let's lose a little bit. And I'll show you what a hero I am. I'll make it all back. I think it's almost a hero play. Psychologically. I just watched another Gartley. So cute. This Gartley guy wrote his book the year after Wyckoff died. Because Wyckoff would have beat him to death. Wyckoff only. This Gartley guy is charging $1,500 for the book. Now, what does that tell you right there? The elitist club of, in 1934, when $1,500 was, he could buy 3 cars, they say, right? Nice. Good club to be a member of. My apologies to the Hot Key questionnaire. The guy that asked me about hotkeys. You have to also, if you create these scripts and name them, I actually named some of my scripts that I knew what was the contents of it. If you name your script C1, or you could call it Control 1 if you wanted, but I found out to save space, I would just make everything very, really very small. So if I put it on a tablet, it doesn't use a lot of pixels. So if I go C1, C2, C3, C0, and then A1, A2, A3. So I streamline the naming because what it is, I didn't want to look at, I wanted like a kind of just a blank thing, and I could actually rewrite the script underneath the name. Or you can have a name. The problem with the naming was when I went to program the hotkeys, I'm like, oh God, which one do I put where? So I had to streamline it there. But yeah, it's actually, the choices are harder than the doing is not the problem. It's what are you doing? I want to do the right thing. Do the right thing, people. And but yeah, MACD. And you could test a bot. The only problem is if you test a bot with a fixed pip risk, it's just better to have a human just look at it and go, it's going sideways. And here, I guess if your orders lasted too long, they trapped you, but you made it up here. It all depends how long you're willing to have the patience. You wait 2 days to get paid, you're going to make more money in 2 days. That's if you can handle the chatter on the way there. Anyways, I hope that helps for the hotkey situation. Trying to streamline the trading, but I would definitely get a tablet for about $100 used on eBay. Put $50 in an account. Now, I've had this idea for 5 fucking years, and I keep telling people, but I just gave up. I think I lost a lot of friends. A lot of people said, you know what? It's like, you're not going to talk about the market again, are you? Like, we're going to go watch the game, and really the market? But it's just too much fun, right? I guess MetaTrader made it too much fun because now you can finally write a song, write a good script, or write a scenario, and you can play them out. You can play all these fantasy trades out, even single drop orders placed at the tip of a Gartley Batwing, which is always ever changing tip of the wing to get in, and or just go old school MACD right out of the box. MACD. I guess the big problem there was the settings are a little laggish for me, but if you treat it right, in other words, if it's if you're out driving in traffic and it's rush hour, you just drive differently, right? So the rush hour traffic's very congested, and then there's the after this big thing here, and then all of a sudden here comes the speeders, right? So if a guy just blows your doors off, very disturbing psychologically to get back in after this, especially if you were long, and then you try to buy again, and like, oh, but then you buy, you're like, I wish I would have bought here, but it's only 3 magnitudes down. It just seems like a lot because it got there very quickly. That's the problem. Look how fast we got there, sideways, and here is a nice clean move. Now, Western charting, bar charting, is really great for volatility breakouts. Less emphasis on whether it's bullish or bearish and all that nonsense. It's just down. We can see it's down. Now, you could put colors on here and make the bullish bars, and as soon as you do that, your brain just goes for a fork in the road. Mine does. And now I'm thinking, well, she's good looking, but does she have money? Yeah, should have never. I'm thinking, because I'm getting old and lazy. Does she have money? Can I just stay at home? Can I watch TV? You know, you've got a normal job. But, and of course, this big hole was forming, right? Always the vacuum. Here's the vacuum. So they talk about that cup and handle stuff. You want to buy the bottom of the cup. When it gets to the handle, you want to get the hell out. Here's the inverted fry pan trade, I call this. This is the fry pan you use when somebody breaks in your house. I had an aunt that lived in Los Angeles, and somebody broke in her house, North Hollywood, so she took a fry pan and beat him over the head. So this is the fry pan trade. Right here's the handle. I call this the big lumberjack trade. So I really think you should use, if you're going to Batwing trade, it's obvious that you need to go and get a Batman movie. There was this really cute girl that was into the Batman movie, and so I got the Batman soundtrack, so when she came over, she would just fall in love with me because I was playing Batman soundtrack, and it really sounded great. It was done by Prince or something. It sounded amazing. Real lush, you know, like diamonds and pearls. So, I just, you know, somebody just sent me a message here, another disturbing message. But yeah, look at this. This is the fry pan trade. What do you think? I'm gonna write a book. I mean, I was just watching an interview with a guy, and he wrote a book about the Gartley thing, and I just thought, you're kidding, right? Like, I love when people do, they say they back tested the Gartley pattern. I'm like, if you change your stop by 5 pips, say you're one position trading, you change your stop by 5 pips, you're going to tell me that's not going to affect the outcome? Or it's just a percentage, right? It is so ridiculous. Besides, it's just no way into the future. I'm just saying, I had in 1988, I had a 286 running to build a robot with Pardo Corporation software. I spent $5,000 on the computer and the software. And I'll tell you what, no way, right? No way would you trust anything you built. Would you trust a robot to clean your house? You know, it's going to be a problem. You come home unexpectedly, and he starts cleaning, and you can't turn him off. That's going to be a problem. Anyways, I guess it disintegrated into a rant. All right. Yeah, let me know if the hotkey thing works out. I can send you the hotkey. You tell me who your broker is. Just put it in the. I'll just edit the hotkeys. I wish there was a universal place to put these. Inside of MetaTrader, there's the MT4 folder now, is what they call it. So that's the way to ship these in a zip file and just plunk it in there. But I don't want to choose your hotkey system for you because it's a personal thing. Like if you could have designed your own car, I know they put cup holders in the cars in the console, but I've seen cup holders. They should start putting them on the dashboard. But it's like, where do you like your cup holder kind of thing, and so I don't know. The reason I had the hotkey idea was so I could be more consistent winner and loser. At least I can know what's causing my losses. So every time I hit this one key, kind of like that monkey thing, the monkey that's trying to get cocaine or something. But they didn't give him a choice. I guess it's a rigged test because they didn't give him a choice. They're like, hey, there's a lot of cocaine in this cage for you, buddy. But, yeah, that's, the consideration is what the hotkey's going to do for or against you. I would say get a tablet, honestly. So what I'm trying to do is unlearn you from the idea of even thinking about it. I shouldn't have said hotkey, sorry. Should never even, now it's a trigger word for you. You develop the twitch every time you think about hitting the wrong hotkey. But yeah, that's why you want to have more than one account. You just can't, how are people trading with one broker? It's just mind-boggling. Because what if that broker what if somebody explodes them? And this idea that you're going to buy gold, cracking me up with that gold trade. I think it's ready to go down now. Jeez. Well, that was quite the lackluster. Stocks are gonna keep going up. I watched all these gold guys just get burned. Yeah, it's gonna be something else. So, yeah, the world's not coming to an end. I'm very disappointed myself. I was hoping for more drama. But yeah, go for these small entry windows here. You can just pick them out. You're already thinking long. The first uptick in this thing, because it's such a laggy indicator, just go with the histogram on MACD. Forget this signal crap. I guess this is where the confirmation people are getting in. I'm already leery as soon as it starts going up. You really are trading both directions at all times. In other words, even though it's going up, if it's not going up at the pace that you can handle, just get out. There's no, like, if you're in the market half the time, if you're flat half the time, and the other half of the time you're in the market, that's plenty. In other words, exposures. So buying at the market, selling at the market, you've already used up your exposure. Like if you just think about, how often you're gonna run around nude, right? It's not gonna be very often. Naked, you're just totally. So you really want to wait for the shrubbery to jump into. Wait for the. Better to let the window appear than to force it. So that's the only thing I can say about how to make a bunch of money trading. So it's just not going to be, the market's never going to unfold the way you think. So anytime you make a too complicated a projection, it's better to think in terms of the market going chaotic and then going into a small fractal of chaos to a large fractal of chaos. And what's the expansion? What is the wick? How big is the wick compared to the body? And that should tell you right there what is the potential for a limit order to succeed and a stop entry to succeed. And how big is that wick? So your targets need to be maybe half of that wick, or maybe the whole wick or beyond. But you're only exposing yourself to, like, if you can launch 100 tickets, and each has its own kind of highly detailed ratios, and maybe you have a risk 8 to make 20 pips, risk 8 to make 100 pips. Why not? That's if you let the whole thing play out. There are risks 10 pips to make 100 pip trades out there all day long in every currency. But people don't see it like that because they say, well, yeah, when it gets to that area there, everybody's bearish. Who would be buying in a bearish market? But it stepped up to the line of scrimmage and it backs off. So you can see the line of scrimmage here. That's the window. It might be a 15 pip stop to make 80 pips. There's tons of those trades out there. You have to go place your orders on the edge of the wick. Nobody wants to. I don't know. Nobody wants to do that, but when the market gets to that price level, people are going to be screaming that the world's going to hell, and you're just getting in on the edge like that. It's just amazing. And these retests, market retests all the time, constantly. And then so if you're only looking to make 8 pips and you got a retest order with a 5 pip stop and your broker's got a 2 pip spread at worst, you got a 3 pip stop in essence on that. Or you put on the 15 pip stop, which is in essence like a 20 pip stop. If it's hard written 15 on the script, give it 5 pips of bullshit. And in fact, if you run one of these EAs and backtest it with a really 5 or a 3 pip. You have to be realistic. Put a 5 pip or a 10 pip stop on the damn EA when you backtest it. That's your optimization, because that's going to take into account late entry, requotes, all the garbage of real world. It's never like you think. You go to the restaurant. People said, "Oh, you got to try this restaurant." You get there, and they're ignoring you. They're too busy. They're trying to keep up with the latest regulations. And unless you know somebody there, unless the owner's going to sit down in the booth with you, you're fucked. And even if you're not going to get your food, at least you can chat with the owner. So, anyways, I don't know if that helps. I guess I just get lost. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of work to, but I actually want to go cruder. I want to go more simplistic. I want to get to this level here, blow by blow. So if you are trading this garbage with these RSIs, and by the way, the RSI set at 14, what were they thinking? Set this puppy to 3, right off the bat. That goes without saying. Tighter the better, right? Let's get some signals out of this thing. So this is if you're trading at the market. This is how you want to do it. You have to have wider stops though. Okay, just buy. Anytime it's below, just buy. Here's a bottom becomes a double top in RSI. There's no chance to even sell this. Buy. So you bought this. Something's wrong with this RSI. Why isn't this? Oh, here's a close. See the wick's not showing an RSI. So maybe you're running buy stops the whole time RSI is underwater. Just waiting for that reversal, and the whole time RSI is above the 30. You have to have your filter needs to be like 50. So it has to be above. You have to set 50 here. 50 is fair value. That's the pivot. 50. Middle of the road. So you have the sell stops here. Right when you're at 50 on RSI. Forget MACD. MACD is just like we're in a downtrend. Duh. Do I really need this MACD to tell me that? MACD this whole time. So your trigger filters here. MACD is like we're in a downtrend. I'm like, you think? That's the problem I have with MACD. It's insulting my intelligence. We just crossed over the signal line, sir. We're in a downtrend. Oh, you think? Of course, all the volatility people are just like, oh, we just got filled. See ya. Trap the bulls. But if you're selling at the market, every time RSI is banging on this, I just read a robot that said every time RSI is above 50 and MACD is going down, or the moving average crossover. Problem is, what's your moving average crossover? It's going to get whipsawed at some point here. You have to have it where, if you're going to build out any of these trend bots, there has to be a point at which the robot says, okay, volatility is too big, don't place any trades. Wait for, there's got to be one more filter on top of this. And at that point, it's really going to be about position sizing and how big do you get in on these. The robot, you can't tell the robot, well, wait for a big vacuum to form. Wait for a big vacuum to form. And not really start trading aggressive now. It's too much to tell a robot. So, anyways, I gotta go back to my outdoor activities here now that the weather has finally changed and we can live like normal people outside. I really cherish the just watching this Joe Rogan thing where he's got this really hot chick talking about cryogenic exposures. I said, well, just move. Can't you just move? Can't you? Don't they already have that? Why aren't the polar bear clubs getting these hot chicks? The polar bears, they jump in that cold water. Or you just trade the RSI. Forget the price. You know, prices for, if you're trading without stops, who cares about that? We just buy here. Just draw your trend lines here. So you're looking for a break at the trend line and triangle breakouts. Yeah, who needs the prices? Look, it broke out, find support. So you go long. Yeah, this thing looks like dollar Swiss could go up a little bit, but if the euro keeps going up, this is going to hell. All right. Look at this haul. So here's the big problem with oops, I don't have a delete all objects key on this thing. Look at this big haul. This is the deep pegging. And look at this. We're starting to fill this puppy. We could come all the way back. At least to here. for a bounce to here, maybe. But yeah, they broke it. They're breaking it down. They trapped all the bulls here. They've made quite a bit of money off that, selling up that resistance, constantly probing in the monthly here. Crazy. Don't have a lot of data here. I guess since I'm not a real customer, I'm just a demo customer. Take this nonsense off. Wow. RSI says buy, but that doesn't mean much in a world where the market just keeps going down. So RSI, you cannot just you buy at the market, we'll just wait to get stopped out. Looks to me like they're going to crush that. Just using the MACD out of the box, you can see that you can make the argument that the histogram's going down, the trend's down. Could definitely come back. It's kind of funny. This is the low. That's just the depegging. Right. That is the low. So in the big picture, even though there's a couple brokers that went bankrupt on that because they couldn't see the fact that that's possible, after this, 2011, Jesus, man. Wow. And here is the MACD buy stop. When the MACD is ticking down, you got the buy stops running on top. You tell the robot to start putting in buy stops when MACD is histogram's ticking down. Same thing here, the first tick downs. He starts loading up and whoosh. That was a 15-minute chart. You're done. If that was a 1-minute chart, and that was the news, this is what the news would look like on a 5-minute chart. But all that is depegging, a trap window. That's a serious auction. Look at that thing. All the way back up. Now we could seriously be doing a backfill, at least to here. I'd say maybe middle of the road, here-ish, but gosh, amazing, amazing. Here's a top becomes a bottom in RSI. Structure entry. Break this trend line. Get this Wyckoff throw back in. Retest the 30. So if the 50 was here, let's sell above 50, buy below 50. Nuts. This is going to be some kind of crazy. So I think the volatility is going to get scary now. I guess we're, they can't really pre-plot the volatility, anticipation of volatility, but I guess you can. You can look at the VIX index. I did a video like a year ago, or well, it's about the VIX and the skew index. If you go to Chicago Board of Trade, it's pretty fascinating data there. The skew index and the volatility. So like this low volatility here is like something wicked's going to happen. And look how they kicked that back into that. That's your classic 15-minute news chart right there. That's the monthly dollar Swiss. Okay. So, as they say, break a leg or good luck.